think he was a psychologist. It's quite an older model actually now, but
Oh, yeah.
he came up with these kind of the four stages of team development, and he believed that all teams kind of fluctuate between these four stages. But yeah, the first one was kind of forming, which is often like the exciting time of a team development in terms of, in the context of kind of community sport, it's like pre-season.
Mm,
So, for
mm.
example, in rugby, the weather's nice often because we come together early and the field feels nice. It's not really muddy, and people have come off their Christmas holidays and they haven't played the game for a while. So, everyone's just
Fresh.
happy to be back and
Mm.
excited and reflecting on their summer break. And so we call that the forming stage. It's all fun and games, and it's a really cool time of the team development. But the storming phase, which comes after forming, is kind of where people start to make their judgments on who's pulling their weight, who's the alpha, who's the water carrier, who's the team player, who's not. So you might see that in teams where kind of cliques start to form.
Mm.
So people start to make their own little cliques around the group, and people start to challenge certain things in terms of why we're doing that. It might be players challenging the coaches. It might be people challenging the senior players. It can be a variety of things. So so the storming phase is a complex one because sometimes you can still actually play a reasonable brand of whatever sport in the storming phase, but
Mm.
you want to move to the norming phase where kind of people put their ego aside. They kind of understand um, where their places and where they sit in terms of they understand their role and the contribution they make. And then so the norming is where we start to kind of understand, well, what are our social norms, expectations, and do I accept those? And then the
Mm.
last part is obviously the performing phase, which is probably the biggest thing I'd say about what happens when the performance bit kicks in is people start to feel really safe to express their viewpoints without
Yeah.
fear of judgment. It's probably the simplest way I'd probably define performing. And I don't know how many teams, really get to that stage, but continuous, like a group that wants to continuously improve, feels free to challenge the status quo and individuals, like I said, without fear of judgment. And then the last, after performing the adjourning one, which was added later to the model, was kind of around when someone leaves the group, kind of what happens in that space. So, say like your most senior player leaves, or your coach leaves, or you had some new players that were really talented and they may have gone off somewhere. So there's kind of like a grieving in a cycle when that happens too, because we
Mm.
lose the memory of the team, and so the team has to go through that stage as well. The biggest misconception, I think, with Tuckman's model, whenever we've run coaches through it, is that it's sequential order.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh, so you got to go through them to get to performing.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we always say, oh, you might start the year off performing.
Yeah,
But then some things might play out. Players get injured, and then all of a sudden you find yourself storming again. And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so we kind of used to encourage that. The reason you'd use that framework is just for you to reflect as a coach as to if things are a bit clunky, like it's just a quick check to be like, oh, that's okay. We're just in a storming phase, and to get through the storm, I probably need to talk to player A and player C just to make sure we're all aligned before we can get to the norming again. So it's not a perfect science, team development, and Tuckman's model, the four stages, I used to find was just a good
Mm.
reflective tool. It was also a really good way to kind of like put together your preseason plan,
Mm.
kind of around, where will you link some of your social events and what are you trying to achieve to connect the group to accelerate them from kind of forming to performing before your first kind of real season game. So it can be a really good kind of tool for that as well.